All right. You guys been noticing anything with the announcements in the Canvas class yet? What's that? Yeah, there's a class overview. So every day, what I'm doing, maybe you notice I'm recording me explaining the slide and kind of what we're doing for the day. So every day I'm posting that in a summary to, did I explain this already? If you look in the announcements, you click on that every single day, unless I forget or something happens, there'll be a summary of this whole discussion. There'll also be a video of it. But would you rather read a short summary or watch a 15-minute video of me blah, 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 blah? Probably want to just read the summary, right? So, yeah, if you miss something, if you miss class, or if there's, it kind of like it summarizes it. So, any discussion of any information will be there. So, and I'm looking, it's a new thing I'm doing. I'll probably be looking into integrating it other ways as well. Maybe as a review mechanism to go through some of the discussions, just to hit on some key points. All right, so let's get into this. What happens to this glucose? Kimberly, what do you notice with this glucose as it goes through the process of glycolysis? So it turns, it gets converted into pyruvic acid. It goes from being one type of molecule into another type. My V and U look similar. So, goes from glucose to pyruvic acid. And how would you describe the difference between those two molecules? Okay, let's hold on to that ATP for a second. Focus on just the pieces that I'm circling here. What are those black dots anyway? What do they represent in the molecular structure of glucose? Each one represents a what? Starts with a C. Jasleen, what do you think? It represents something. Something in the periodic table of the elements. A very important element to life. What element do you think that is? Anybody else? What element is life based on? Us. What's that? Carbon. Yeah, so these are carbon molecules. Carbon atoms, that is. So 6 carbon atoms all joined together in glucose, okay, in a ring. That's the basic molecular shape of glucose, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 carbons. So it's all together. Then, after glycolysis happens, those 6 aren't together anymore, right? They get split into 2 molecules, both with 3 carbons. Okay, so split into 2, 3, and we call those molecules pyruvic acid. Okay, so 2 molecules, pyruvic acid. Our carbon has stayed the same. Well, our amount of carbon, they've just been split and then rearranged. Lysis, that word itself means to split. And glyco means, anybody guess what glyco means? Glucose, sucrose, fructose. Those are all types of what? We like to put these in food to make it sweeter. Sugars, yeah, those are all different types of sugars. So glyco means sugar. So glycolysis means, splitting sugars, and that's what we did right here. We split that sugar in half. Now, as far as ATP is concerned, Ashley, what's going on with ATP? What do you, just tell me, describe what you see or what you think, Ashley. What? It doubles. So how many ATPs do you count? 4. We have 4 ATPs here. Okay. But how many? So created 4 ATP. Okay. Did it use any ATP? Did we need ATP to run this process, Julian? Do you see any ATP inputs into this process? Yes. How many ATPs were put into this to make it work? Look at the top here. How many ATPs? 2. Okay. So it used 2 ATP. It created 4. So do we end up with a deficit of ATP, or do we end up with extra ATP? If we use 2 but we make 4, is that good? Do we make ATP? Yeah, we made 2 ATP. So 2 net ATPs produced. Okay. Oops. There's something I was going to say about that. Can't remember. Now, these ATP here, they can be recycled and then used in this process. Remember, the ADP gets recharged. That phosphate group is stuck right back on. Okay? Can anybody tell me, where does this happen in the cell? What area? We have the cell, right? We know the basic cell parts. So where does this glycolysis step happen? Well, what part of the cell do you associate with energy? Which organelle is the powerhouse? Anybody remember last unit? The powerhouse. Lucas, no powerhouse? Mitochondria, yes. Does this happen in the mitochondria? No, it doesn't. It happens outside the mitochondria. What do we call that general area outside the mitochondria? Cyto. Wellman, can you finish this for me? Cytoplasm. Thank you. Cytoplasm. This all happens out there just in that goo. When the pyruvic acid is made, it then goes to the powerhouse, which is the mitochondria. Okay, so this whole process of glycolysis, breaking down that sugar into pyruvic acid, happens in the cytoplasm, just in the goo. Then the pyruvic acid will go into the mitochondria. And does anybody remember from your studies the main processes that happen in the mitochondria? First one starts with a K. Krebs cycle, and then what's called the electron transport chain. Or it can also be called chemiosmosis. So those are some terms that you need to make a note of when you are coming across those in your studies, in the biozone and in the videos. I posted the respiration, so you should be working on those respiration videos, and I'll be putting up photosynthesis. All right. But today, this week, we are going to be working on a lab with yeast. This is going to be going over respiration. Okay. So let me go ahead. There. Ah. Keep. Everybody looking at your, there we go.